Hello, the internet, and welcome back to another episode of D-Backs Dispatch. We are your hosts, Gabriel and Brandon, and we are here. We're gathered here today to mourn the loss of the Arizona Diamondbacks season. No, but seriously, thank you everybody for coming on in. If this is your first time listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode. If you're listening to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts from, make sure to rate and review us, and check us out on Twitter, on Discord, TikTok, Instagram. We're all over at D-Backs Dispatch. Also, you can check out the written articles later on AZ Snake Pit. And if you have any questions, you want to leave any comments, please leave it in the chat, and we'll get to it at the end or during the podcast. Oh, another bummer of a series, and it goes from bad to worse. And I just, we talked about it quite a bit. Like, when can we call the season over? Not calling it over.
Okay, I was about to say, are we gonna fight right now?
Yeah, I'm not gonna, put a pin in it. But this team is, I think we are maybe a couple of weeks away from finally being able to, put the gravestone on this team. But just to start off, Brandon, what are your initial thoughts, your feelings on this Nationals disaster class that we witnessed?
The Nationals are not to be underestimated. I will say, I know that I kind of went into this thinking, it wasn't like I thought it was going to be a cakewalk, but I definitely thought that on paper we are the better team. But the Nationals have some literally half their roster is former San Diego Padres from the Juan Soto trade. That trade right now is looking so. Mackenzie Gore was the first pitcher in Major League Baseball this year to reach 100 strikeouts. C.J. Abrams is playing very well. James Wood is playing out of his mind right now. Robert Hassel, their center fielder right now, and they're also playing without Dylan Cruz. Watch out! If the Diamondbacks don't get their shit together, watch out for the Nationals. That's all I'm gonna say. This series, they played better baseball than we did in all 3 games.
Yeah, and there's not a bad team over there in Washington. They are a 500 to below 500 team just because of the way the roster is constructed, but they have a lot of masters. They have a lot of good hitters, a lot of good young talent on that team. Like, James Wood is who Juan Soto thinks he is. Like, he's just such a great player. And you look up and down that lineup, it's a lot of really, really great, talented young guys on there. Like, you can say it's the same with us, but C.J. Abrams, Wood, Lowe, Garcia.
Yeah.
They have so many great guys there that you can't see them scoring 5, 6, 7 runs on the team. But it's just the way that it happened in the first 2 games, where you're just like, this can't happen. This can't happen again. And we're going to get to it later. But even with someone like Brandon Pfaadt, maybe he had to tell. We don't know as of right now. Maybe with a little bit more time. Maybe tomorrow we're going to find out. But this can't happen. They can't drop series like these. And I know, like you said, on paper, we are the better team. They just didn't play like it. There were just a lot of defensive errors, mental errors, and just straight up just bad pitching. And I mean, the offense for the most part did their job. They scored 7 runs in both games, and that should have been enough to be able to sweep the series. But just the starting pitching was no help, and to a certain extent from the first game, the bullpen was also no help. So just overall, whatever could go wrong went wrong, especially with what happened today with Corbin Burns. We can get to it in a while, but we don't know. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Apparently, they're optimistic, and because Justin is asking in the comments, like, how long will he be out? that we just don't know that yet. It's too new. The MRIs are coming in tomorrow, or they're doing MRIs tomorrow. So we'll get more information. I guess until tomorrow night. I guess into Tuesday when they do have a press conference about it, and hopefully it's a precautionary thing. Like nobody seemed to be too worried, I guess. Like it doesn't seem like anybody was like, season over for Burns or anything. Hopefully it's the same issue that someone like Puck had where we're unfortunately gonna have to shut him down for a couple of months and then just see where they go from there. But hopefully Ryan Nelson is able to stay in this rotation because he was taken out of it prior to the series and then put in
They're like, actually, hold up, Ryan.
team, talking about mismanagement. Overall, this team has been completely mismanaging young players like Ryan Nelson, like Jordan Lawler is just it's indefensible. Like I don't know how anybody can see what they're doing to certain young players and say that, it's okay what they're doing. But let's just get down to it. The Nationals, they took game one and it felt like it was over as soon as it began since they scored, I believe it was 6 runs in that first inning. 2 runs, my bad. 2 runs in that first inning, off of a Ketel Marte error. They threw him a ball, get him out of the inning, and unfortunately, he did not make the play. So it loaded up the bases and a couple runs scored. But also, Merrill didn't get the job done. He faced 2 batters. He gave up a walk and then the single. So the runs scored, but both of them were unearned to Merrill Kelly's. But he also ended up throwing about 16 extra pitches after that Ketel error. But then the Becks came down to the bottom of the first inning, put up 4 runs, and they did what they do when they score 3+ runs in the first inning, which is lose. They've
No,
scored
because not
at up.
anymore.
I'm still talking. Up until this point,
Sorry.
at this point they're 0-4. So they did end up losing this game, but the defense, I think, overall was the main topic of this game. Like I know Merrill got blown up, and then they put in Scott McGuff, and yeah, everyone else got blown up, but Catel's error cost them, and then Gurriel's error cost this team as well. The runs scored because of that, and in case of Gurriel, it was a very weird play because I saw the ball go. I was sitting right there behind the bullpen, and I saw the ball go up. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's an easy fly ball, like maybe the warning track fly ball. And then I look down and I see Tawa like really close to it, and I see Gurriel not even at the warning track, and I'm like, wait, what happened? And then the ball just bounces and it goes over, and I'm like, cool, I guess, yeah. And then the run scored, put the game even further ahead. And when you look at you know the actual run differential for this game, it was 9-7. 2 runs were off of Ketel. This Gurriel batter, I believe he ended up scoring as well. So that's 6 runs off of errors that scored. And the one error that the run didn't score in was the one that came against Josh Naylor and Ryan Thompson, who I believe they still haven't counted it as an error as of now, but that definitely should
There's
be an
only
error.
one error in this game, and
Yeah,
it's
and
the one for Marte.
you can tell, yeah, with this one, it was so weird because like it developed so slowly. Josh Naylor got an easy ground ball. He was running towards the bag, and then Thompson was coming in, and then they just hit each other. Like they just collided in the absolute slowest slow motion train wreck I've ever seen in my life. Like, how do you crash into each other going that slow? And none of them touched the bag either. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand what happened there. And it was just, yeah, it was just like we have in the notes. It was just symbolic of what we've seen this whole season from this team. Just absolute mental and physical mistakes that they're making over and over again. So 3 of the 4 runs came off of an error, and the Nationals take those 3 runs. They at least take advantage of their errors and they score. And also the D-backs gave up 10 extra base hits. It was just a terrible, terrible, terrible game. And it was just one disaster after another one. But the question is this team just fundamentally sloppy, or is this a temporary lapse in focus?
No, this is who this team is. At this point, like I've been the one all year that's saying, "Oh, it's early; they'll figure it." No. This is who this team is now. For whatever reason, you know who's the infield coach and the third base coach? Sean Larkin. he is like just both of his main job duties. He is not doing very well right now. Like that, and like that Gurriel, like the entire game, Gurriel just he looked lethargic out there. Like he just looked to be moving just a little bit more slowly. So I don't know if this supposed party that they had on Thursday, he uh he drank a little bit too much and was a little bit playing hungover. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here because normally, like, he makes those plays. Like, he had one play where he barely makes, but he should have made easily. Then he has the one with Tawa. Again, if Thomas is out there, does he make that play? I don't know. Um, Again, he shouldn't have to make that. The center fielder should not have to go ahead and make that play. Like that was ugly. The Marte one, I think that one's just more of a lack of focus. I think that one he didn't really watch the ball get into his glove, and that play between Naylor and Thompson is like again, they're just like it's the fundamentals that they're struggling with so much. This like we talked about with like you said, this one that's 3 runs with those 3 plays right there. That's the difference in the game. That's the difference in the game, and that's the difference between winning a series and losing the series. Um, like it's gonna be one of like I really hope it's not the case that we get to September and like the last week we're like a game and a half out and we just keep thinking the like this game right here. Like, is this the reason why they're not gonna make it in? Like, are we really gonna have 2 seasons in a row where it's a difference of just a couple of plays that really made the difference. But I think more on the Naylor and Thompson is they just did not talk. They like there's no way that play happens if one of them yells like if they was like got it like Thompson should stop or Thompson tells him flip me the ball or something like just you need to communicate out there like I'm sorry, we are not in spring anymore. We're not in the first couple weeks of April. This is like we're about 60 games into the season right now. Good baseball teams don't make these errors. And right now, this is not a good baseball team. This is not a
Yeah.
good baseball team. But luckily, there are plenty of games left to correct these issues.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I feel like to a certain extent this is who the team is. I mean, last year they did suffer from these sort of defensive struggles early in the season, primarily from Gino and from the shortstop position, which was rotating from Blaze and some other guys that they're trying
Newman.
to find their footing while Perdomo was up. But as soon as Perdomo came in, the defense did stabilize. But at this point, like there is no stabilization. It's all of them. All of them just making Gino not making the throw to first, and then like part of it could be the fact that it's not Christian Walker back there making them look better than they actually were last year. Because there were a lot of Gino throws that were terrible that he just made them look good, and Josh Naylor is not that. But at what point are we just gonna have them adjust to the fact that Josh Naylor is not Christian Walker defensively? He is, I think, maybe a little bit shorter, and just plays the route a lot different. Like he's not a Gold Glover the way Christian Walker is a Gold Glover. So this team needs to adjust, and they haven't been able to. And so I do think to a certain extent this is who the team is in terms of Gurriel. He has shown his ability to be a good defender. I think the issue, I mean, he's had 2 this season and this week alone that he should have made the catch on, which was this one and also the one in St. Louis, where a lot of fans were blaming Alec, even though he had to run well over 100 feet to catch a ball that Gurriel was maybe 40 feet from. There's no reason why Alec should have been as close as he was to making that play. But if you look at the replay, you can see as soon as the ball is about to come down, Gurriel gets into Alec's field of view and he kind of just ducks down and does a sliding grab, which that's not what Alec ever does. Like that's the type of slide you see defenders do when they're trying to avoid a collision. So it looked like he was trying to avoid the collision while also trying to catch the ball in midair. And yeah, so and then that one, there's a lot of people making an excuse of, well, he had a lower body injury. Then why is he playing? he's an outfielder. If he has a lower body injury, he probably shouldn't be playing in the outfield. If he's going to be playing, put him as a DH. And same with this game. I believe it was Friday. I did see him limping around. He did run to second base a little gingerly a couple times. Like he did not look, as athletic as he normally does. But again, if he's having these issues, make him to DH. We have Grichuk; he can cover that bag, and also we have Tim Tawa who can cover left field as well. Like there's a couple guys that we have in these sort of situations, who are available, and they just haven't used them because I guess Pavin did have a couple hits in this game, but Pavin needs as much playing time as he needs to apparently. But I feel like at this point, Grichuk has shown his ability to hit at the major league level, which is weird to say because he isn't, certified major leaguer, but still the way this team treats him, it treats him like he's just kind of a bench guy and should be a bench guy. But I mean, he just hit the home runs and everything. He's doing everything he can to stay on this roster and to be a starter. But as of right now, we just need a guy who can't hit over 300 slugging in that DH position. But yeah, this was just overall a terrible defensive game, just too many lapses. And I will say, this is who Ryan Thompson is as well. We've seen him do this over and over and over again, where he just doesn't cover first base. Like it's weird. He doesn't do it. He would just stay watching the play, and then finally he realizes that he has to go cover, and then he might just take a couple steps over to it, and then just not cover the bag. So whatever it is, I guess whoever's in second and first, if Thompson is on out pitching there, don't trust him at all to come and cover. But yeah, I guess the other topic of discussion and news that came out was that supposedly there was a party on Wednesday that Torrey threw in order to motivate this team. Um, there was a lot of different thoughts going on. I mean, some people have, I guess it was the split. Some people were saying, "Oh, it's a good way to get guys' minds off of this," and at the same time, it was sort of a what like a a not so. I guess it's not the right time. I guess to throw a party like this. You had just gotten swept. You had lost your third series in a row, and they throw a party for celebrating mediocrity. I guess. Um, so at this point, and then also a little bit later on, Tori mentioned that his mom, of all people, told him to trust his gut, and she supposedly kind of came up with the lineup from this day. So we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hope something sticks at this point, I think. But do you think that Tori might think that this is more of a psychological, or I don't know, like, do you think that Tori thinks this is a psychological problem going on with this team rather than an actual, uh, whether it's they're not taking the right approaches at the plate, they're not training enough? Like, what do you think it is? Do you think Tori is looking at a physical or more emotional, mental state of the D-backs?
I think most of these guys that are playing every day have been with this team for a while. They know this culture. They know what this team expects out of them. So I think it really is their mental state. And I think that's kind of what his goal for the hangout was, is just kind of hang out together, maybe build up that chemistry a little bit more, get our minds off of baseball, because maybe some of the guys are just like they're thinking too much, so they just need to be able to let loose. But obviously, it didn't really work because again, it's the mental errors on defense that are infuriating, because there are so many games that we can look back on, like you make this play, who knows what happens the rest of the game. I do want to acknowledge a question in the chat from Charles Elliott. Has Larkin affected the infielders that much that they went from good last year to error machines? I think it's more Tony Chica is a very good infield coach. Tony Chica made Christian Walker who he is. So I think he's just a better infield coach, because Larkin came from player development. He wasn't really a coach before. So I think that's more the issue. Not that they got worse defensively. I think Tony Chica was better, personally.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand both sides of this argument. I think it falls, my opinion, it falls down the middle where I do think these guys need to sometimes take their minds off of baseball and have sort of a reset mentally so they can, stop putting like pressing so much. That's something we heard this whole weekend was just everyone feels like they're pressing. And so giving them a day where they can just go and party for a little bit, whatever that means. We don't know exactly what type of party it was. Like if it was just pizza party, and orange slices, and Capri Sun, or was it a Hooters with the fella type of night? Like we don't know exactly what sort of party this was, but either way, I feel like as of right now, it completely backfired because they just had so many mental and physical errors on Friday and even on Saturday. So I just, if people want to criticize, I'm not going to be one to defend it at all, but I'm also not going to be one to question it as much because I'm like, I understand Tory's side in this, but I also understand people want to criticize it because I do think it doesn't look good when you're down, when you've lost 3 series in a row and you're losing as bad as you're losing to just throw a party. It does feel like how some of the comments are saying, participation party, a participation trophy type of party where, like, hey, we're down by 6, 7 games in the division and in the wild card. Let's just throw a party because we love to lose, I guess. But yeah, it was just I don't know. It was a little bit of a nothing burger, but I think with the way this team played on Friday and Saturday, it kind of just turns into a bigger story than it had to be. But also, I think having his mom kind of just choose the lineup out was a little strange.
I don't think she did. I think it was a joke that more of his mom saying, "You're thinking too much.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut." But the way
But
that
calling his mom for advice. I mean, I understand it. Like, I do think to a certain extent, he's probably just trying to endear himself a little bit more than him actually doing this. But do you feel that he's in control, or is he just trying to get something to stick?
I think he's trying anything right now to get things to work out. So, like, because he knows this team has the talent to win, and you can see in these post game press conferences, he's getting angry at just because they're beating themselves. A lot of these games is they're beating themselves. If they figure the mental errors out or the issues with running and scoring, like that's stuff that they can fix as the team. There's not a lot of like say like the other team is like yes, sometimes the other team is playing better, but a lot of these is if they just play Diamondback baseball, most of these games probably are going to be wins. Like a lot of them is they're just beating themselves.
Yeah, and that it is something that you feel like can be corrected because it's not like last year where it was primarily injuries and just kind of had to wait. In this case, it's just mental and a lot of physical mistakes that they're making, and even their approaches, and same with certain pitchers and everything. It's a lot of stuff where you feel like they're just right there, like make any sort of adjustment, and suddenly this team is back on top. But they just haven't been able to do that or shown the ability to do that this whole season. So it's just incredibly frustrating to watch them make these mistakes. And you can't blame everything on Tory, but also like he is the man at the helm. He is the man who answers the questions. So they fired Brent Strom. We talked about it at the time. It seemed like he was maybe just a fall guy. Like despite the fact that the entire pitching staff was down with injuries last year, I don't feel like Brent Strom had anything to do with that. But at this point, it's just you kind of just have to throw anything at the wall, hope it sticks. And in this case, nothing they've really done has done that. But I want to get to some of the questions and some of the chats. Tay Dad 38 is asking, are you guys gonna mention anything about the win today? We go game by game, so this is a series recap, not a game recap. So we will get to it when we get to game 3. I think we're happy about the win, but unfortunately, not at the cost of the win. Um, Order Sleepless Night says a cakewalk like the Pirates were supposed to be. That's something we mentioned on the last episode as well, where we're just like they there's so many of these games that should have been a cakewalk, and they just have not been. Like they've been getting dominated by the Pirates. by them. I mean, even that Rocky series, they should have swept. Unfortunately, they didn't. Charles Elliott says Torrey seemed to be the only one concerned, but Burns seems himself not to be as worried. And yeah, if you go and see some of the press that they did, Burns did seem to be in a lot better spirits than he did when he was coming off the mound because he was coming off the mound. It really seemed like he was about to burst into tears, which is understandable. But in the locker room, it seemed like he was doing a lot better. Maybe he just maybe got some sort of feeling in his elbow back and just a precautionary. Ivan says, sad to see this team in such a bad state. And I think we all agree with that. It's just, none of us like watching them lose ever. Like, it's just so unfortunate that they are where they are right
Are
now.
you sure? Because there are some people in this fan base. I'm not that it seems like they are pleased when the team continues to struggle because it basically solidifies what their opinion of the team is. Like,
Yeah, I think people just want to be right sometimes, and that's something that causes that. But I think overall, the actual real fan base that wants this team to win, wants this team to actually win and doesn't care about, their weird petty grievances. But let's get on to game number two. Let's flush it away, as Tori loves to say, for an unfortunate game where our other mainstay, Brandon Fott, just completely had a meltdown in this game. I don't think any of us are used to seeing anything like this at all ever from Brandon Fott. Usually he would have a blow up in the third or fourth inning, 3 4 runs, and then that would be it. This is his worst start and one of the worst starts to date in Major League history. Brandon Fott went 0 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 8 earned runs. He hit 2 batters and threw 31 pitches before a single out was recorded in this game. He was the first pitcher since 1947 to allow that kind of damage without recording an out. The first D-backs pitcher allowing 8 runs or more without recording out in a game. Win probability added minus 45.4. They allowed 10 runs in the first inning, second most ever before an out since 1961, behind the 2003 Red Sox. It took 30 minutes to get 3 outs, and we felt every single second of those 30 minutes. Brandon Fott's ERA jumped from 3.90 to a 5.05 in 8 batters. CJ Abrams was hit by D-backs pitcher 3 times. They went, was it 13-6 when scoring 6+. A lot of numbers, a lot of unfortunate numbers as well. Brandon Fott just did not have it in this game at all. And like I said, I don't think we've seen him be this bad. He's had some bad games, but I don't think I've ever seen him be as bad as he was this game. Yeah. Let's see. Brandon Fott's. We talked about it before, where if we feel at times, he's had maybe a couple of bad starts in the season. We ask, like, is this who Brandon Fott actually is? Is he regressing this much to the mean? Or is he, just getting unlucky? Not unlucky, but, is he just having a bad day? But in this case, he had the worst of the worst of the worst. So do you think this is just another regression? Or do you think maybe they just had something on him? Maybe he was tipping or something?
so I don't think it's a regression. I think it was a combo of not that he was tipping his pitches, but I think their advanced scouts did a really good job against us in this series because the same thing happened on Friday against Merrill Kelly. Like, it definitely seemed like they were being very aggressive. They knew what was coming, and I really think that's kind of what happened here in the first inning. Is they had a good game plan. The Nationals' advanced scouts did their job and provided a good game plan to the coaches, who then provided that to the players. I know that Fott has, like you said, like, he'll have an outing where he has a bad inning or so, but it's never this bad. Like, it was ugly to watch. Like, I was there in person, and I got sick to my stomach. Like, I was really at that point that, like, okay, maybe they do fire Torrey. Maybe they just say, screw this season. We'll just move on, because that first inning was literally the worst baseball that I've seen this team play in a really, really long time. Now, I'm glad that they didn't let it fester the entire game. It was nice that they did decide to kind of, because it was only the first inning, they kind of like they had Fox back. And I think one cool thing about this, Fott didn't go immediately to the locker room once he left the game. He was in the dugout till about the fourth inning. And if you go ahead and watch the interview he gave at his locker after the game, that was like a sad puppy dog. Like he felt awful for that start because he knows he's better than that. He knows that he's a good pitcher. There's a reason they offered him that big contract uh, extension. So I think he's going to come back out in his next start, and he's going to do really, really well. So, like, sometimes you just don't have it that day, and that's baseball. That's just what happens.
Yeah, and the only reason I would say like he probably wasn't tipping is just because he wasn't locating. Like Brandon Pfaadt does not really hit batters and doesn't really walk batters, and that's what he was doing in this game, just missing all over the zone. He hit CJ Abrams twice. Just could not locate anything. Everything that he was throwing just could not locate it. He threw anything in the zone is what they're punishing him for. Hitting line drives, just they're just taking whatever he was giving them, and unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of really good stuff. I don't think he's going to be as bad as this. I think he's going to be, when all is said and done, a very high threes, very low four type of pitcher, at least this season. Like I compared to him, Aaron Nola, and that's kind of who Aaron Nola has been for a majority of his career. But I do think his main issue is giving up that hard contact, and he's giving up a lot of soft contact recently. And at some point, that's going to even out a little bit. And they just got him. And I mean, it could just be the fact that also the Nationals had seven lefties. I mean, which is probably the most he's seen. So they were just on him with everything. And, it was, I guess, even the Corbin, he misplayed a ball as well. He dove instead of, playing it off a hop. That could have saved a couple of runs, could have gotten a couple outs. Unfortunately, it just got to the wall. And so they were allowed to score a base clearing triple. It was just a lot that went wrong. And like everything else, it was just kind of Murphy's Law. What could go wrong did go wrong in this game. Quickly, Corbin Barrel says Slade is going to be driving by the time my boy Brett gets back. So good news for you and everyone else. Brett is coming back. He's coming back next Sunday.
Yep.
So be prepared for that. It's going to be the trio again, back together.
We might need to give him like 15 minutes to start just to give his thoughts on everything that he's missed the last, I don't know what, month at least. It's got to be a little bit more. I'm going to have to look the last time we had the trio on, but very excited to have our boy Brett back on with us.
Yeah, and like some of the comments are saying as well is like his expected stats are also a bit higher. So at some point, these things are going to even out. I don't think he's as bad as those expected stats are, but there is going to be some regression. But again, I don't think it's going to be as bad as this game was. But one of the big topics of discussion, there is the chance about getting Torrey fired, but one of them is also Gabe Kaplan, their new pitching coach. So far this year, we've seen some improvement with some guys, but overall, this pitching staff is not all it was chalked up to be. Last year, we had Brent Strom, and we knew the issues were the fact that everyone was injured. So it was kind of a wash in his respect. But in this case, Gabe Kaplan, everyone for the most part is healthy, except maybe I guess Erod and Corbin Burns now. But Gabe Kaplan, the D-backs are 25th in MLB for ERA, 25th. 24th in home runs allowed, 27th in hit by pitches, 17th in walks. Overall, I think most of these pitchers have really regressed under Gabe Kaplan, except maybe Brandon Pfaadt. But even now, his ERA is higher. But do you think Gabe Kaplan is the problem, or since he is the pitching coach, you just think he's maybe the guy who's sitting like closest to the fire?
I am not pleased with what I've seen from him. Like, I know that Gallen struggled like last year in the second half, but it feels like he's gotten worse. Burns struggled in his first two starts, but he's been really, really good since. Kelly has the one start against the Yankees, but he's been good for the most part. I want to know what's going on? Like, who is more responsible for the issues with the bullpen? Does he work with the bullpen guys a lot, or is that more the bullpen coach?
It's the bullpen coach. In this, it's always been the bullpen coach. The
Yeah.
main pitching coach is usually hands off. That's why what's his face got fired last year as well. Shit, I forgot his name. Yeah, the bullpen coach,
Fetters.
Fatters Mike. That's why he also got fired because he's the one who manages and actually trains with the bullpen.
I think I'm more mad at that than Kaplan as much. Like, because I feel for the most part, the starters have been decent. Like outside the first 2 weeks, our starting pitching was not good. But I'm like, it's freaking 2 weeks, y'all. Like, I'm not gonna like lose. I'm not gonna lose it over that. Right now, for me, it's the majority. There's two guys in that bullpen that I trust. Everybody else, I don't even like. I am so scared if anybody else comes out of that bullpen that's name is not Shelby Miller or Justin Martinez. Like anybody else, I'm like, I don't know what we're getting today. So, yeah, this one, Dan Herron, like, I need to understand a little bit more as to what he does because it definitely feels like there are some series where the starting pitching's game plan feels like, what are we doing here? Like, especially with Gallon. So I'm wondering, is that Dan Herron? Is that Kaplan? Or is that just Zach Gallen just being so thinking he knows what's best and not really listening? Because I think that's what a lot of Gallen's problem is he's not accepting coaching.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with you because, like we mentioned last year, there were some comments coming from Brent Strom saying that he is his worst enemy. Like he just he doesn't want to get rid of pitches and he's a victim of his own success. And those were his words specifically, victim of his own success, which I agree with. Like there's some pitches I think he needs to get rid of, like that slider, and he just doesn't because he's had success with it in the past. And in terms of Gabe Kaplan, I mean, we've seen this regression from Zach Gallen with Brent Strom. I mean, Brandon Fott has been better this year. Like I said, it was just this start. Sam Merrill Kelly is just the one start. It's going to happen, I think, with both of these guys, with everybody. I think they're all going to have a terrible start. And like you said, outside of those first couple of weeks, everyone has been pretty damn good. Brian Nelson has been a lot better even now than he was last year. So him, Brandon Fott, Merrill Kelly, Corbin Burns is back to being as good as he was in Baltimore, if not even a little slightly better. Obviously, they had the injuries. So the outliers in this case are Zach Gallen and Eduardo Rodriguez, two guys who weren't good last year, two guys who weren't very good in the second half of 2023 either. So I don't think we should be ready to, get the pitchforks out for Gabe Kaplan when, I mean, this is his first year, but I don't think we should be, so quick to judge him. And there's still probably some stuff they need to work on. As of right now, I don't think it's the main problem. I think it's just the bullpen. We mentioned this before, just roster construction wise.
Yeah.
Hazen relied way too much on guys from AAA, from guys, coming off of minor league contracts as well. Like
Dumpster
nobody on this team, even including Puck, none of them came as, they didn't sign any big name free agents. In other words, there's no multi-year deals or anything. And what I mean by multi-year deals, I know we have Puck, but he was a trade. He is under team control. That's not major league. That's not a major league deal that he handed out to any of these guys. Nobody's making more than. Well, I think Martinez's contract doesn't kick in until like next year either. So I don't think anybody's making more than like a couple million in that bullpen. So you get what you get when you go dumpster diving and getting, the $5 DVDs from the Walmart bin. Like this is who you get with this when you construct this bad of a bullpen. And we're seeing it now. Like they were two injuries away from a complete collapse. Like that's how bad this bullpen is. So again, I don't blame Kaplan. But at the end of the season, if they fire him, I do think he's probably going to be a scapegoat. And I don't think it's going to help getting rid of him as well than trying to find a new guy coming in with new ideas. But game 3, finally, you have some good news. This team won a game finally, snapped a like 4-game losing streak. They didn't get swept, yay. But unfortunately, it came at a big cost, which was Corbin Burns. He was just absolutely cruising. He was playing so good. Suddenly, his velocity dipped a little bit, and then he gave up a single and immediately motioned to the dugout that something was wrong. And as he saw him turn around, he looks at Perdomo and just says, "My elbow." And you can see it once the actual pitching, the coaches came out and trainers came out. He said, it looked like he said, "It's my elbow. It's dead. Like or it's gone. Either one of those." But did not seem like it was good at all. Like at that point, I think everybody was just like on some sort of suicide alert or something. Because man, it was like mass suicide on top of Chase Field right now. Like, let's go, let's do it. Because holy crap, that was such a big blow to this team. Like they're already struggling, and having him come out like that is just it's not helping anything at all. But they apparently said that he's just gonna get an MRI done tomorrow. Nobody really seems to be that worried. So hopefully it's not a big deal. But what roster moves do you think they're gonna try to make, and what roster moves should they make to replace Corbin Burns?
I think they'll make that decision probably Tuesday, because they need to make it soon. Because if they decide to put him on the IL, Nelson is going to take his spot. Like there is no debate about that. So like they can't linger on that too much and then use him then because then they can't have him be ready to pitch on Burns' next scheduled day, which is going to be Friday. So he's already up there. They brought up Christian Mena today. Mena looked great in this game, by the way. Mena, the fact that Mena was able to pitch the 6th and the 7th was very big because that way we don't have to worry about using some of the other guys in that bullpen that we don't feel comfortable with. Now they did send Scott McGuff down. Praise the Lord. So hopefully we don't see that again. But I don't see any way that he pitches on Friday. I just like, even if the MRI comes back and it's just like he said, right elbow discomfort, or as Bob Nightingale said, inflammation, I think you put him on the 10-day and you have him miss 2 starts. I would rather you guys be super conservative on that than like, oh, he's good to go and he pitches Friday and he only goes 2 innings because it's bad. I would rather don't do what you did with J-Mart and be like, oh, it doesn't seem, the guy says it's not that bad. So I personally, what I would do is, yes, put Nelson in his spot, and then have Mena still be the long guy and bring someone out. Bring Kyle Ament up. Like, I want to see somebody, a non-veteran. Like, it's getting frustrating that every time that we need to make a bullpen move and we bring someone up, it's a guy that we know what they are. They're not good. Give us something with one of these guys that we don't like. I want to see them against Major League pitching to see if they're good.
Yeah, and I think the move that this team is going to make is probably, I mean, the main thing is just Erod's coming back. So he's probably in the starting rotation now, and we can transition also into the second subject, which is the fact that Ryan Nelson was told, I believe, Friday night that he was going to be moved to the bullpen because, results don't matter. What matters is money, and money talks in this industry. So instead of giving the role to the guy who rightfully deserves and who has been probably the best starting pitcher on this staff, they give it to a guy who has 7.80 ERA, unfortunately, with Erod coming back. So that's why he was available to pitch on Saturday. And I just want to say, like, what an unsung hero, the fact that he was able to keep the team in the game against this Nationals lineup and be able to save the bullpen for this game. Because Corbin Burns today went 4 2/3. Then Jalen Beeks got a 30-minute inning. Then Mena just dominated, went 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, and just 1 hit and a walk. Shelby Miller came in, shut the door with 2 strikeouts, and then J-Mart did J-Mart things and quickly
That
disposed
last
of them.
strikeout by
It was
J-Mart? That split. I'm like, oh my god, Shayla,
Damn,
you're
that
disgusting.
was yeah, it was one of those from like, all right, he's back. Like, and this is what we want to
So
see. Like, this
back.
is sort of textbook eighth and ninth inning. You know, Shelby set up as of right now, and then J Mart. This is what I want to see going forward from this
Yep.
team because I feel like they can turn these things around and they can win a lot more games if they follow this you know these sort of roles that they should have in the bullpen. But Mena, I believe, is a topic of this discussion as well because he is a candidate to be in the starting rotation because that's what he is. He is a starter in Reno, and same with Brian Nelson. They're both starters. They're not relievers. They're not long relievers. They're not back end bullpen guys, which is what Tori mentioned in Nelson's case. He called and he said you're going to start shortening up his outings to make him a back end reliever, which is something I don't want to see right now. Like I do think his future is in a high leverage reliever situation. But as of right now, I think he's too good. He's too valuable as a starting pitcher to be sent down into the bullpen and to have his roles reduced. Like I feel so bad for him. Like they're going to ruin his arm. We've seen this happen before. I mentioned this Archie Bradley, John Duplantier, Dre Jameson, like moving these guys up and down from starters to relievers to starters to relievers. We get one inning, now you get five. It ruins these guys' arms. Like they need to have consistency. So I can see the move being made to where they keep Christian Mena up and then they send Ron Nelson down, or vice versa. But as of right now, I do think Mena deserves a shot also to be in the starting rotation. But since he pitched today, I don't think he would have a start until Saturday, right? Ryan should be available to go Friday if needed. And so I don't know. Like I saw a lot of people make a suggestion to maybe DFA Zach Allen, which they're not going to do, but maybe trade him as well, which they're not going to do just because they're not going to get anything for him. But
Yet.
I would honestly feel pretty comfortable having Christian Mena take over Zach Gallen's spot and having Ryan Nelson take over Burns to start for right now. For a little bit. If you're talking about the entire season, then no, because then they are completely depleting whatever depth that they had in the minors and in the major league system. Um, but yeah, it's just I feel like there's a lot of moves that are going to be made tomorrow, and hopefully we can get some clarification on certain guys' future. And because I feel so bad for Ryan Nelson, like he has done everything he can for this team. Whatever role they give him, he's taking it up with stride, and he clearly has such better numbers as a starter compared to as a reliever, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, Ryan Nelson is being a true professional. He is not like he doesn't have an ego. Like he's not throwing a fit because he's being asked to be in the bullpen. He's doing what the team asks of him. What I would like to know, which we're never going to find out, is whose idea is it for the kind of yo-yo thing they're doing with Ryan Nelson? Is it Mike Hazen because he knows he messed up on the bullpen? Or is it Tori? Or is it a mixture of both? Like, that's the thing that I'm most curious on because we do know that a lot of roster construction decisions aren't always 100% on the manager. It's also on the general manager. So I'm wondering, like, I get why they want him in the bullpen because they don't trust anybody else. They trust him as a pitcher. Yes, Ryan Nelson is the reverse Rafael Devers and should not be punished for that. William Harold, 100% correct. Literally, he's doing the complete. You guys want him to play and be a medium to high leverage guy? He'll go ahead and do it. So maybe this, unfortunately, maybe this is the world saying, you know what, Tori and Mike, no, he's a starter, but now we have to worry about Burns. I don't think it's as bad as people initially were thinking. Like everyone was like, "Oh no, it's in it." Like because he did this with his hand, and like everyone's, "Oh shoot, what if it's a UCL?" And they went Tommy John right away, and I'm like, "Okay, D-back fans, I know that you guys are very doom and gloom, especially the ones on Twitter. Same thing, like everyone thought the same thing with AJ Puck. AJ Puck didn't end up needing Tommy John. So I'm not going to go there. until we get results of an MRI. Because right now it's just theory crafting, and that doesn't do anybody good other than just being super depressed. And I don't I don't know how that helps and benefits the team in any way. So now if it comes out in the MRI that yeah, there's an issue, then I get it. But like, why worry about something when we have to wait on it? I mean, we'll probably know by this time tomorrow. Um, or they'll probably have done the MRI. Whether they speak with the media and let the public know what the results were, that is a whole nother situation. So I hope it's just he was kind of like nervous because of what happened with his shoulder, that he wanted to be more safe than sorry. I think that's more of what it was. Is like, could he have continued to pitch? Yes, but I think he just like he didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say like he had never felt anything like that before. Maybe that's why he maybe felt something in his elbow, where he said tightness. So since he had never felt it before, he just kind of freaked out a little bit, which I think everybody would. I think anytime we feel any sort of pain in our body that we have never felt before, we're like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna die now. Like this is cancer or something. And it's just like, whatever, just random little cramp that we have. But we're just hoping that we get good news where he is only out for a couple of weeks. Maybe just needs another cortisone shot, like he already is cortisone burns. Like we know he responds well to it. So hopefully that's all it is. And Nelson can hold down the fort in the meantime. But we're gonna get now that I guess that concludes this part of the program when we're talking about the uh this unfortunate series with the Washington Nationals. But now we can get on to the upcoming series, which is versus the Atlanta Braves. And I'm not expecting a dicking down, but man, like this team's luck against the Braves the last few years has not been very good. But first
Eh,
game on Tuesday, Zach Gallen versus Spencer Strider. It's kind of a mid versus mid in this situation. Zach Gallen, 5.454 ERA versus Strider, who has a 4.50 ERA. In game two, it's going to be Merrill Kelly versus Chris Sale. I think this is going to be the premier matchup of the series. Merrill Kelly has a 3.78 ERA. Chris Sale has a 3.06 ERA. Both games are at 4. One's at 4:15. Oh, both are at 4:15. And then a morning game. So all you European fans and everybody who just loves to have breakfast with the D-backs, it's a 9:15 a.m. game. It's going to be Brandon Pfaadt, who's looking to redeem himself against Grant Holmes. Brandon Pfaadt has a 5.50 ERA, and Holmes has a 3.78 ERA. Atlanta has really struggled this season overall. I mean, they've made a huge comeback for where they were. They were like 8 or 9 games below 500 to start off the season. They've come roaring back and are about 4 games below 500. So there's still hope for the D-backs that they can come back from this disastrous start, but they're going to have to get through the Atlanta Braves first. Do you have any sort of predictions? Anything you want to see? Anything you're curious to see from this upcoming series?
I'm getting a little worried about Corbin Carroll. He's been kind of slumping lately. And can you please stop swinging at the first pitch? Like it's getting a little worrisome. Like I'm not like, oh my lord, worried, but I'm more like, I'm a little like, what's going on here? Is it just your normal um slumps that you kind of go through, that we do see him go through from time to time? Because he always figures it out. Because I think he's always changing his swing, and I think he's in the middle of one of those swing adjustments right now. Um, so yeah, and Gallon, can you have a complete start? Because your last few starts, you'll like for most of it, like especially your last two, like against the Cardinals, you were really good for 5, and then you struggled in the 6th. For the Pirates, you were really good through 4, struggled in the 5th. So if you could just like have a good 6 inning, like if we can get 6 innings, a quality start from Zach Gallen, that will I know for me, uh, put my stress at ease when it comes to Gallon, because I'm really on the fence as to if he's on this team August 1st. Um, like I know, like I think what we're like 2-10, or like we've like 2 wins out of our last 12, like some really awful number. So that's why I don't blame fans for like thinking, oh, season's over, we should go ahead and be sellers. Like I can understand why people would say that, but when you see this offense,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to say the season's over. But again, I'm not saying that it's early anymore. It's not. But there are plenty of games left for this team to make it interesting and still be in a playoff spot when it comes to around the All-Star break. Because for me, if they are around 500 and like within 4 games of the wild card, I think they're going to go for it. If they're under 500 and they're like 6+ out of a wild card, I could see them trading Gino, Naylor, Gallon, maybe even Shelby. So that's why for me the month of June is so important. Like this team has to be 4 or 5 games, like win 4 or 5 games more than they're losing in the month of June, so that they kind of get back to around that 500 spot. And this series is definitely doable because the Braves, like us, don't hit well with runners in scoring position, by the way.
Yeah, and the main thing I want to see them is win the series, mostly because they're down 2-1 against the Braves in this series. So they are a wild card competitor. So if they're able to take at least 2 of these games, then they're at least tied in the season series against the Braves, because the team that they play against next is the Cincinnati Reds, who are also in line for that third wild card spot, which again, they need to win that. They need to win the season series against both of these teams. Like, it's go time. You mentioned it's still early. Technically, it's still early, but you don't want it to get late early, and losing this series and even losing the next series, I think, is going to put them to bed early, because when you're down by that many games and when you've lost season series against these sort of teams, like at that point, you're just hoping everybody else has a collapse and that you're not hoping for another team to lose in order for you to actually be able to sneak in there. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today, both in mourning of the season a little bit, but also just, looking forward to what hopefully could be a good start to this year, or to this month, which is June. Backs usually come around in June and July, so hopefully they do that this month as well. But I want to thank everybody who's here. William, Red Sox Nation, Supra, Charles Elliott, Corbin Barrels, not Burns, Josh, let's see, Cam 4, so Ivan, they say William, Tay Dad, I believe I saw Brett, Justin, in Order of the Sleepless Nights. If I'm missing anybody, sorry. Thank you guys, everybody, for commenting. Thank you guys for being here, and we will see you guys on Thursday night, I believe, to, I guess, hopefully, get some clarification on Corbin Burns, but also hopefully celebrate a series win. Bye.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brett and Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it